А это может быть компьютер. Нет, в смысле, вот это.
А есть?
Да. Сейчас. Так,
Сейчас я скажу.
Ну, не страшно.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last day of this meeting, to the session titled, let me rephrase it, Frontiers of NMR and MRI, hopefully not the last frontiers. The first speaker of this morning session is Viktor Timoshenko from Moscow State University with the title of the presentation, Silicon Nanoparticles for Biomedical Applications.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for presentation. You see the title of my talk, and in my lecture, I will review information obtained in my group and some in other groups devoted to applications of silicon nanoparticles for biomedical studies. Up to now, I should mention, silicon is not approved for clinical applications, but very intensively studied as potential material both for diagnosis and therapy. And silicon is well-known material for microelectronics. It's first material because most of chips and solar cell device, optoelectronic device are based on silicon. And silicon is a very abundant element. Silicon constitutes about 27% of mass of Earth's crust, second element after oxygen. And silicon is very important bioelement. In the normal healthy adult body, it's about 1 gram of silicon as weight. And this element is the third after iron and zinc, trace mineral. And you know probably that silicon has several isotopes and 3 stable isotopes. The most abundant silicon 28, it's more than 90%. Second, silicon 29, which is most interesting for MRI, of course, because there is no zero nuclear spin, the spin 1/2. And the third stable element, silicon 30. There are different ideas in microelectronics how to use isotopically pure silicon, for example, for quantum computing, for creation of ultra-sensitive, low noise electronic device. I will not mention this, of course, very interesting study. I will pay attention on silicon nanocrystals, which can be fabricated by different methods, physical, chemical, in order to obtain material which is biocompatible, which can be introduced in the biological system, in the body, and used as material for diagnosis and therapy. Why silicon? Silicon is not only a very convenient material, by the way, the most pure material from another type of materials, because semiconductor technology developed a lot of methods to purify, to clean the silicon. Silicon is biocompatible material because during storage in aqueous media, for example, in the body, in the bloodstream, silicon dissolves, or it's called biodegrade, through the release of dissolvable silicon or orthosilicon acid. But it's difficult to introduce a wafer of silicon or a crystal of silicon in the body. Of course, it can be done by using small nanoparticles, which can penetrate to a certain place and can be delivered, can be combined with standard medical approaches, for example, with MRI. Here you see examples of different type of silicon nanoparticles or nanocrystals, mainly in nanoform silicon is crystalline material, because if it will be unmoved, it will immediately oxidize and dissolve. And in crystalline form, silicon can be produced, for example, by using pointer here. Probably better. Oh, silicon can be produced as small spheres. You see this size around 5-6 nanometers. Such type of silicon can be produced by using laser pyrolysis of silane or laser ablation of different solid targets. Also, silicon can be formed in form of porous structure by using electrochemical etching of pure silicon wafers. And this material can be then crushed and selected in size. And here you can see the individual silicon particles which are deposited on the flat surface and recorded by using atomic force microscopy method. And because a lot of methods, I will not be able to discuss all methods of preparation. I will present mainly the methods which I used in my research and some other methods which we are interested for applications in biomedicine. For example, and there is very simple and, by the way, efficient method to preparation silicon nanoparticles, porous silicon nanoparticles, which is based on electrochemical etching of crystalline, very pure silicon wafers in hydrofluoric acid solution. Then we obtain films, which can be detached from the substrate, crushed, and, for example, by using high energy mechanical milling, and we very simple way and fast way can obtain a lot of I call liquid silicon. It's very concentrated silicon solutions, and nanoparticles are not, of course, well shaped because they are porous, they are crushed mechanically. But this material very convenient for different purposes. I will show afterwards how it can be investigated in biomedical way. But this physical point of view, this material is really nano material, convinced by using standard for material science X-ray diffraction analysis. Here you can see the two curves, and red curve corresponds exactly to the smallest silicon nanoparticles. You see the broadening of the diffraction peaks, which corresponds to the small size, around 2 to 4 nanometers, and particles with larger size also can investigate. You see broadening on the tails of diffraction peaks, and the nano scale origin of such material can be also visible by naked eye from these images. You see powder of smallest silicon nanoparticles is brownish or red even, while the larger particles are gray, similar to bulk material. That's due to, it's called quantum size effect, which changes optical properties due to change of electronic spectrum of silicon nanocrystals. These powders can be used in order to prepare solution, or better to say, aqueous suspensions. It's not simple task, because to mix silicon, there is a problem aggregation, and during preparation hydrophobic case, we have, by the way, hydrophobic surface. We should remove partially hydrogen from the surface in order to improve wetting and realize hydrophilic properties of the surface. And this task was solved. And here you see example of aqueous suspensions of silicon nanoparticles produced from porous silicon, technique with smallest size, which has already changed the color, and larger size. And both samples exhibit luminescence in visible range. You see these red spots because quantum confinement are really like quantum dots, but less organized, not well defined, but it's sometimes not so important for biomedical applications. If you look more precisely on the structure properties of these particles, here you see example of two types of particles produced from porous silicon. You see these particles with size around 100 nanometers, and produced directly from by the same way from crystalline silicon. You can use the same mechanical milling to crush bulk material or polycrystalline silicon, which is very cheap, by the way. Which this method does not require any chemical treatment, therefore the material will be free from undesirable toxic impurities on the surface. And we can prepare samples with porous particles in size, typical size below 100 nanometers, and non-porous crystalline grains with size a bit larger, mean size 100 nanometers. And this real material which can be examined in different biomedical research. There is another more sophisticated way how to prepare also very pure silicon nanoparticles. This method is based on laser ablative synthesis. Laser ablation means we can sputter, evaporate very fast in non-equilibrium conditions bulk material, and these ablated particles or even gas condense and in order to form smallest nanocrystals. You see schematical view of this method. We irradiated silicon, bulk silicon, crystalline silicon wafers in helium atmosphere in order to obtain the small particles in the form of very porous film. Then the film was crushed by ultrasound in ultrasonic burst, and we obtained the suspension without any chemical treatment. We see the analysis of these films and particles, and we can resolve smallest nanocrystals inside of nanoparticles, and size of nanocrystals is around few nanometers, from 2 to 5 nanometers. Of course, they are not well shaped, but they are covered by silicon oxide, because during formation of suspension we have oxidation, we have partial dissolution of amorphous part of silicon, and you see the analysis of dynamic lag scattering. This is evolution of size during storage in water. It's interesting that storage for a few days resulted in narrowing of the size distribution and formation of more small nanoparticles. And what is interesting, these particles are luminescent. They can be considered like core shell structure, very similar to quantum dots, with efficient luminescent band in the near infrared and visible range. And in solution, we have also UV violet band due to defect transition. And this both band can be used to visualize particles also in vitro, in cell models. Here is the example of silicon nanoparticles formed by this way, which are penetrating in the cell membrane and located in this nucleus of these cells. But of course, it's very good that nanoparticles are not toxic, they can penetrate inside the cells and then can be used as optical labels. And this method was developed a lot. And what is important, during storage in water and even after penetration in cells, particles will dissolve or degrade. And the degradation was studied in different ways. Here is the example of analysis of biodegradation by using transmission tone microscopy. This is initial size distribution. Center is 300, 200, sorry, 20, 30 nanometers. And after storage for 1 week, we have very narrow distribution with size about 10 nanometers. And it was also monitored in situ by using Raman spectroscopy. You see analysis of Raman spectra, and by the way, this spectra demonstrate that these nanoparticles are crystalline. And by measuring the intensity of Raman peaks, the shape, analyzing the shape, we can decide also about the size of nanoparticles. And in good agreement with microscopy, we observe the change of size from Raman spectroscopy. And this changes you can see from this figure. During the storage for 1 week, we have decrease of size several times from 20, 30 nanometers up to the 5. And this is good idea that this material is very flexible. It can be introduced in the body, but we should, of course, take that certain time period, it's dynamic process, and then to take some physical or another action. Similar idea can be realized with porous silicon nanoparticles, and visualization of these nanoparticles can be even more efficient because of large amount on smallest nanocrystals. And you see results published by a group from the States. This visualization was done using special camera for small animals. You see color silicon nanoparticles, which we intravenous injected, and these nanoparticles will also combine with drug, with doxorubicin, which is an anti-cancer drug, and during biodegradation nanoparticles, which was monitored by physical experiments, and during the emission photoluminescence monitoring in vivo, they observed release of drug up to the 100% of loaded drug. And this drug release resulted into the treatment or local chemotherapy. Therefore, silicon can be good material both for optical diagnostics and local chemotherapy. Here you can see another examples of different type of imaging with porous, non-porous nanoparticles. For porous nanoparticles, we can achieve indeed very high level of accumulation of nanoparticles inside of cells, cancer cells, and by the way, there is no at all toxicity from directly nanoparticles, but it can be initiated by using drug, which is loaded inside of pores, and also physical action for some physical modules. The first example of such therapeutic ability of silicon nanoparticles was observed more than 10 years ago. Here you can see example of photoluminescent spectra of silicon nanoparticles in vacuum. It was done for powder initially, and silicon nanoparticles in pure oxygen atmosphere. You see some quenching. This quenching was reversible, and this quenching was explained by energy transfer from photoexcited. From photoexcited charge carriers, the same carriers which are responsible for photoluminescence emissions, that charge carriers in the form of coupled electron and hole pair, can transfer the energy together with their total spin. Therefore, these excitons in the triplet state can transfer energy to oxygen molecules in triplet state. You know that oxygen molecules are many in triplet state. And use the charge, you use the energy and spin transfer to have creation of singlet oxygen. And this process is not very efficient for silicon nanoparticles produced by this way. You see the total efficiency of energy transfer can be 50%, but because of the efficiency of photoluminescence due to non-radiative passes of recombination, which is only 10%, the total net rate of quantum efficiency of singlet oxygen generation is about 5%. But this singlet oxygen is very toxic and can be used for local chemotherapy or oxidation of cell structures. And you see the example of the first experiments that was repeated many times by another groups, where we observed the suppression of cancer cell proliferation in the presence of silicon nanoparticles. Under elimination, we observed the complete suppression of the cell growth due to creation of photoexcited or photosensitized singlet oxygen. But light is not very good penetrating action or physical type of radiation. We can use ultrasound, but ultrasound doesn't have so big energy in order to create some chemical reaction. But of course, sometimes it can be speculated that it has a chemical reaction. But main effect of ultrasound is heating due to losses of mechanical energy, and cavitation, which is stochastic processes of creation and annihilation of bubbles, of gas bubble in the liquid. And we use both this effect because silicon has density several times larger than density of water and any biological substance. The density of silicon typically is 2, density of biological tissue is about 1. And due to this difference in acoustic impedance, we have strong scattering. We observed the heating in physical experiments and biological experiments. We observed suppression of cancer cell growth in mice. And here you see the relative volume of tumor for the reference group, black point for group with introduced nanoparticles, green without any effect, and group red is combined action of nanoparticles and ultrasound. You see the strong suppression, more than 2-5 times suppression of cancer growth. Therefore, these nanoparticles can be very efficient therapeutic agent for what's called sonodynamic therapy. And besides of ultrasound, we tested another kind of radiation, which is close for MRI application. We use radio frequency, low efficiency, intensity radio frequency radiation, and 27 megahertz, some another megahertz in the range up to the 100 megahertz, in order to heat nanoparticles. It's very similar to magnetic hyperthermia, which was realized for magnetic nanoparticles. But in this case, in case of silicon nanoparticles, we do not have magnetic losses. We have another origin, which was discovered in our experiments. This origin, local electrical current, because electric field in radio frequency radiation initiate motion of ions, mainly related to intrinsic ions of water. And nanoparticles are sensitizers, a hot spot of such current. And we observed strong increase of temperature of suspension with nanoparticles. We use in these experiments and porous particles, red point here, and laser ablative, more spherical nanoparticle. The former porous nanoparticles were less efficient due to complex structure and disordered shape. For smallest ablative nanoparticles, the heating rate was above 10 Kelvin per minute. Without nanoparticles, there is no at all heating. The heating rate less than 1 Kelvin per minute. And what is important, this heating can be localized inside of tumor or even cancer cells. An experiment with mice with tumor LLC revealed the decrease of tumor growth for 40% for laser ablative nanoparticles after 1 treatment with radio-frequency radiation. But we obtained these results, and the main idea was how to improve accumulation of nanoparticles. But in order to improve the accumulation, we should monitor nanoparticles inside of bloodstream, inside of tumor, and this was idea why nanoparticles can be used for MRI. Here you can see the first paper devoted to application of silicon nanoparticles for MRI, MRI operating at proton frequency. We use very small nanoparticles created from porous material, but the site distribution was initially centered near the 20 nanometers. You see example of these suspensions. In diluted conditions, they are nearly yellow. And we observed shortening of the both T1 and T2 relaxation time, and transverse relaxation shortening was the most efficient. We see the rate of such shortening, and we can calculate the relaxivity. And the main origin of such shortening is the interaction of electron spins, means silicon bending bonds on the surface of porous nanoparticles, with proton spins. You see the images of phantoms with monitoring in both longitudinal and transverse relaxation channels. And second question, how to improve this effect, how to create nanoparticles with the best relaxivity. We performed the study with different treatment nanoparticles because main effect was initially related to the surface defects. We heat nanoparticles before mixing with water in vacuum in order to dissolve hydrogen in order to create silicon bending bonds. We oxidized nanoparticles, and we found that at certain conditions for thermally annealed at certain temperature porous silicon nanoparticles, we can achieve very high concentration of electron spins, up to the 10 to the 17. And for these nanoparticles, example of such porous nanoparticles, you can see here in these 10 images. We can achieve relaxivity of the order of 1,000 millimole per second. If we will transform or compare with gadolinium, it's not easy because in case of silicon we have, of course, very big amount of atoms, but only surface atoms are located and act as prevention of the proton relaxation. But this is very close to the gadolinium results, and these results can be improved if we will combine silicon nanoparticles with well-known iron oxide nanoparticles, which are well-known contrast edged, but they are toxic. But if we top silicon nanoparticles with small amount of iron oxide, less than 1%, we will completely remove toxicity, but increase sensitivity many times. Here you see the relaxivity for silicon nanoparticles doped with iron oxide. It's more than 10 times larger than the best porous silicon nanoparticles with certain surface treatment. You can see the analysis of their structure properties, experiments with relaxation study for phantoms, and the last slide demonstrate the results of experiments in vivo with mice with LLC tumor. When we inject nanoparticles directly into tumor, we observe immediately darkness of the tumor, but this darkness was not stable during 20 hours. We observe some clearance during dissolution nanoparticles. But during the intravenous administration, nanoparticles were absorbed in spleen, but this accumulation was also dynamic, and for 22 hours, in 1 day, nanoparticles removed from the spleen also. Therefore, we have saved biocompatible nanoparticles, which can be used for diagnosis and therapy. But what about hyperpolarization? It's not our work, it's recently published paper devoted to hyperpolarization silicon particles. In the first paper, they were real microparticles with sizes about several microns, but they were composed from smallest nanocrystals, and they absorbed very good dynamic nuclear polarization for natural isotope C29, and they were succeeded even to introduce suspension of such nanoparticles in hyperpolarized state, which, by the way, is stable during several hours after hyperpolarization, and the bloodstream into stomach, and also this colored picture. This is combined picture detected for proton and C29 signal. And absolutely new results obtained by the group from Switzerland. They succeeded to hyperpolarize smallest nanoparticles with size around 20 nanometers, and in this case, time of depolarization or relaxation hyperpolarization was a little bit less, around half an hour. They compare effects for coated and not coated nanoparticles, which are very useful for further application. And I hope that such interesting results is very promising for further applications of silicon nanoparticles in MRI. This is conclusion of my work, of my talk, and this acknowledgement of collaborators, mainly in Russia and abroad. And thank you for attention.
Thank you for your talk. I want to ask you, you showed us one slide about this change of size of silicon nanoparticles with the time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explanation for this? Why is the size of particles changing?
This is the dissolution process. Because silicon, like aluminum, is, by the way, very reactive material in water. It oxidizes, and this thin oxide can be removed or dissolved by creating orthosilicon acid. And we exactly obtained this situation. Smallest particles in water, which are not initially covered by very thick oxide. There is no big oxide initially, it's only native oxide. They, during interaction with water, decrease their size. And this decrease we can see from the electron microscopy images compare left and right. And the same from raman spectroscopy, which, by the way, monitor also the crystalline structure.
But would you expect this effect when you transfer your particles from water to biological fluids, for example, to cell culture media, because different compounds, these compounds tend to bind to the particle surface?
Yes, of course. This is a way how to control this dissolution rate. If, for example, cover nanoparticles for PEG, polyethylene glycol, or dextran, or another stable, relatively stable biomolecules, we can decrease dissolution rate. But normally, in the body, according to our experiments, the dissolution rate for such small nanoparticles, with size below 30 nanometers, is about 1 week. During 1 week, they can be completely dissolved and removed from the body, despite of any organic compounds.
Yeah, thank you very much for a very, very nice presentation. So I have probably a question on the more technical side. When you do hyperpolarization of these nanoparticles, do you need to introduce isotopic labeling to your silicon material?
I mentioned already in the beginning of my talk that originally silicon has first in a little bit more than 4% of C29. Therefore, these particles are already labeled, but this small amount. But this amount is enough in order to detect MRI in hyperpolarized state. I didn't have time to discuss in detail. If you look on the results of our colleagues, you see these images. These initial silicon nanoparticles without hyperpolarization. They need more than 5 hours in order to detect the spectrum. But after hyperpolarization for 1 minute, because enhancement is more than 1,000, we immediately detect even for naturally natural material.
I'm just saying that very strong support. This is a very strong supportive point for MRI, for clinical use, because you don't need to do any additional manipulation of your initial material. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, let's take. Yeah, let's thank the speaker.
Okay, so the next speaker is again Emikov, presentation about analyze and development in Russia.
Okay, thank you very much. I present here some large team from the Lebedev Physical Institute of Russian Chemical Sciences, solid state physics department, and the leader of this department. It consists of 16 labs and 200 people, and Lebedev students well known in the world because of 7 Nobel Prize winners. So let me start at the beginning. We started this project in 2008 during some program from the Education Ministry. It was 3 years, and after that, we had 2 programs from Industry and Trade Ministry, and altogether the last program was ended 2017, and the result of this present results of our development. So I show you practically the main result. This is the 1.5 Tesla scanner, which you see on the right side, and on the left side you see inner coil to show you that this technology was developed in our labs. So here are some parameters. Field strength is 1.5 Tesla. Water diameter is 900 millimeters. Rough homogeneity after the winding is 700 ppm. And after shimming, we have about several ppms. We have active shielding, 0.5 meters Tesla, line distance from center. This is about 3 meters from center. We use 0 volt cryostat. That means that the magnet is immersed in liquid helium, and on the top of the system we have here some here. Okay. And on the top of this magnet, you have here cryo-refrigerator, which refrigerates vapor to liquid, and liquid comes to less helium vessel. So this is a very important curve, magnetic field stability. You see that after 300 hours, we have here saturation practically, and the field stability is 0.01 ppm per hour. This is the same number by Siemens for other manufacturers. So, this is our scanner in the Faraday room. This technology was developed from 0 level. So all parts of technology have been developed by our team. The team is relatively large, it's 60 people. And this scanner was tested by Neurology Center by Academy of Sciences during some relatively long time. And they were satisfied by the quality of pictures. I will show you the pictures. So this is two pictures. This is the brain. The special resolution without some web-based program is 0.6 millimeters. This is special resolution. If you use some computer methods, we can make it better and go to 0.4 millimeters. So here you see the head coil and our tests. I'll show you some parts of our laboratory. This is on the stand, laboratory stand, and this is in the gradient module. And you see here receive coils. This is my secretary. And we have our own program. We have our own programs, computer programs. And here you see some screenshots of our program. So this is the role of manipulations, which is important for data. First register, then to select part of body for investigation. Then you can move planes in this case. So and you can make it separately, not all together. So many manipulations are possible. But of course, the program is in development now, and this is a continuous process. So now some pictures. Brain, neck, shoulder, spine. So now the state of art of today. We have the machine ready for production. It is already tested. We have technical documentation for production, and we are speaking with investors. I think in 1 year we will begin the first steps in production. For investigators, we can give some free software code. It's very important. Russian components are 60%, and our average is 85%. Medical research is a process. Important is this picture because we started and realized in this case helium-free technology. It means that inside of the helium vessel we have no helium. We have no helium. It's vacuum. And it is so-called conductive method of cooling. Conductive method of cooling, and we cool not superconductor directly, but we cool the support for the superconductive wire. It's working very safe. So we tested it during half a year, at least. Half a year, and it's working safely. And important is that the field value is also very stable. It's very important for doctors. In the other case, you see nothing. But here are parameters. Here's the diameter model for this model. Length of tunnel is 600 millimeters. Shielding is active. Zero field is on this distance from center. Patient excess diameter is 220, and gradient coils, passive shielded, gradient strength is 30 millitesla per meter. Gradient system is water cooled. So when you see here some pictures, field homogeneity, so this is the field map. So here is the explanation how we cool the magnet. So this is the support for, this is superconductor, and this is the port to connect the cryofrigerator. So we connect the cryofrigerator here, and this port is connected to the support, and we freeze superconductor according to this principle. Here's some modeling, what it looks like. So in this vessel, we have no liquid helium. It's very important because helium is expensive material. So we have a lot of research work. Here's our cooperation with Mendeleev Chemical Institute. So we investigated such nanoparticles with some polymer coating. This part is iron oxide. So this is the chemical structure. The size of this particles is about 10 nanometers, and we succeeded in very good enhancement of contrast. This is results for rats. This is before the experiment. It is after 5 minutes injection of this contrast medium. And the same is for liver. So you see the enhancement image. So now I'm coming to helium. Helium sources, the main helium sources are listed here. There are some other countries, but the main are here. Russia. The Orenburg, the main source is in Orenburg, and the content is 0.05%. It's very big. In Blagoveshchensk we have 0.5% content, but with practically no infrastructure. Standard helium source is in this level, 0.1 to 0.5%, and rich helium source is in this way. It's very paradox thing, but in Russia, price for helium now is about 15 euro. In Europe, where there is no helium source, but the price is twice cheaper. So I can explain it as some speculation, but we have to live with these values. And this growth was in this summer. In 4 months, we had twice growth in price. Therefore, it's very important to develop helium-free systems. Now we are working to realize this technology for big magnet. So new horizon. So of course, hyperpolarized large gases is very interesting for us, but we are going in direction of application. Of course, it's a very good idea interoperational MRI. We are making some models for this way. So So that means interoperation of MRI means that MRI is used during the operation and closed after, closed before the end of operation. And then you can use one MRI system for 2-3 operation halls. It's very important. And we are working in the field of high-density focused ultrasound for brain treatment to remove cancer on the early stage. So, and I'm concluding. Here's our current state. Basic MRI technology, including software, is developed. Prototype to the production line with relatively low capacity of 5 MRI systems per year is installed. Several prototypes as well as several sales already done. Readiness for to start serial production. And halo-free technology is being developed on the large size of magnet. So, and our outlook, what am I looking for? First aim is 1.5 Tesla halo-free full-scale MRI, and we are starting to think about 7 Tesla scanner for brain investigation. Thank you very much.
Okay, question, please. You described very nicely for us the development of the magnet, and you showed us the head coil. I wondered about the other components. Did you develop those in-house, or?
So we electronic parts with mobile. Electronic parts.
Sorry?
Electronic parts is not our development.
No, and the grading coils?
Grading coil also not. Some delivers, but receive coil is self-made.
Yes. And there are already 70s out there. Why not go one step further?
Yes.
11.7 or something.
0.7?
11.7.
11.7. I
500 megahertz.
I can cite you very,
you give us a price.
Some story. I was some magnetic field conference, and it was reported about the perspectives of magnetic field technology. And what the report was about 12.1 magnet. And the first question was, how feel the people inside of this magnet? And the author of this design said, I will be the first human inside of the coil.
Any more questions?
I'm sure maybe you mentioned it, maybe I missed it. So how much are this system are roughly, if I were to purchase one, say 1.5 Tesla?
What is the price?
What is the price? It's approximately 70% of the average market price.
Crystal experiment human brain on the small free macro.
It's too small. It's too small. I showed you the parameters. It's too, but the neck is too short.
What are the prospects of going to higher field with the helium-free magnets, 3 Tesla for a joint system?
I think it's very difficult to make helium-free with field 1.5 Tesla. It's a really difficult technology. We are thinking about some version of this technology using small amounts of fuel. This more reliable.
Yes, I have to think, like, if I'm a buyer and I want to buy a machine, what about the maintenance? What makes you...
In Russia, it's very quick.
Let's come to Russia. Okay, if you will find investors, how many machines you can build a year? Or you can plan?
We have some plan, of course. Our plan is 50 machines per year. 50. 50.
50.
50. 50.
Okay.
Are you going to make broadband scanners? For broadband,
Multi-nuclear.
for multinuclear research.
For other nuclear.
We can change the field. It's very easy for it, yes. If you need some other values, in the region of 0 to 1.5 Tesla, we can change the field.
So the idea is that you keep the field the same frequency.
Well, it's also now we use one frequency amplifier, but
Yes.
we can make broadband.
So before we thank our speaker once again, there is a
Dear colleagues, we got very nice talk of Professor and we knew that today he has your birthday. Moreover, Jubilee birthday. Therefore, we prepared for him our small gift from the Center of Magnetic Thermometry and Spectroscopy. Yes. Special cap with
Thank you very much.
who talks about our hyperpolarization seminar and our firm sign CMTS with image of the Moscow field, etc. We congratulate you.
Thank you very much. Contrast me.
Okay, let's move on. Our next speaker is from University of Nottingham, China. I want to presentation focus MRI, the speaker of medical as MRI and in problem to this question.
At first, thanks for the opportunity to introduce our company and what we do in MRI. Xinbao Medical Equipment Company is founded in 1998. A leading medical imaging device manufacturer in China. 20 years ago, LGY entered the permanent MRI market. Why? Because the reach of the really us in China. We can have many reach the magnet materials. So we think the magnet MRI market, magnet MRI may be the good field in our development. 10 years ago, we are beginning to develop a superconducting MRI system. Now our production capacity is 200 sets of MRI system. It is our MRI production history. 2001, we pushed the first 1.2 Tesla system in China market. And then almost every 2 years, we can push a new type of MRI in market. In this several types, point 3 Tesla, when we push the market, it is the first set in China. Point 4 is the first set in China. Point 5 is the first set worldwide, almost, of course, in the permanent MRI market. 2011, we get the China FDI of 1.5 Tesla system. It is our own low-field MRI types system. This is our 2 types of superconductor MRI system. In permanent MRI, our product covered the 0.2 Tesla to 0.5 Tesla. There are in China market. There are three types is major product: 0.35 Tesla, 0.45 Tesla, and 0.4 Tesla and 0.5 Tesla. Our superconducting MRI 1.5 Tesla system have 3 models. Model A is get the license 1211. This year we get a new license in China market, Model B and Model C. Model B is built all component by ourselves, and the Model C is in the diameter is 30 centimeter. We have the CE and the USA FDA certificate. We always have the product registration in several countries, foreign countries, include Russia. Now we have equipped 1,000 MR system totally, more than 100 systems overseas. 10 consecutive years, we get the largest year's sales among the domestic manufacturers in China. Almost, we have the more than 20 systems in Russia equipment. In 1211, XGY established technology strategic relationship with Nottingham University. It promotes the XGY research and development. Now, next I introduce our core component research. This is 1.5 Tesla and 3 Tesla team coils. Team coils, maybe it is we can cover over whole body. It is our common 1.5 Tesla and 3.0 Tesla's coils. Now it uses it in our system. Last year we finished the 3 part has been used in our local low field system this year, and last year we this year our new helium-free magnetic projector entered the production stage. The left inner diameter is 60 centimeter, and the right one is for the knee application. We can do the scanning by hair And this one hole is for confidential for patient. Another more important part is the Graydon coil. We can decide and produce the superconductor Graydon coil. And we used our Graydon coil in our system 2 years ago. Of course, imaging development is very important. Especially the clinical application, we developed several advanced imaging. This is our imaging for dynamic enhancement. It is the MRI images in brain and neck application. It is clear imaging for true phase 3D. It is simple functional MRI board. Just click the figure. Just to prove our system can be finished, can be do it. It is the diffusion tension imaging, SWI, MIs, proton density, factor fraction, of course, the procession. Chest imaging, just we can find the lava blood, lava MI. It is our cardiac imaging crudely. QSM. Of course, we welcome the more partner to help us improve our imaging. Express the component development. We also have some extended system. It is the new system, just a new application. This one is the inventional system. It is the very 0.7 Tesla. Why we developed this? Because the field strength is higher, so it is benefit signal strength than permanent MRI, and it's very open. It is very useful than 1.5 Tesla system. The permanent MRI original we designed for the anorectal clinical, but now we find it is very useful for the standing scanning. So you can stand here. It's easy to imagine. Now we have our mainly project in registering for China FDA. It is the MR guide phase array focused such a sound treat system. We can realize the real-time MR thermometry, just a 4-second scanning. It is the developing project, PET MI. We plan to develop all-in-one cover for in our system. We plan to import it in our 3 Tesla system. Of course, we always develop a very interesting system for special customers. It is the ultra low field. It's just 0.05 Tesla. It is patient will be here. This active. Have a look. What work it? Because it is the current sample and temperature imagine. Sorry, I don't know what, but simply we can find the early flooding after shock. It's very useful in clinical application. Emergency part. Another part is MR guided microwave application. It is for interventional application. Always we have the many part. Major part is for customer style system. We can provide the MI, EPI, and MI solution. All of this system is permanent design. It is the mouse for mouse MI. It can the field strength will be reach the 1 Tesla, and this size is very small, similar as the football. And this one is EPI system, very useful in laboratory application. So it is we can use our specialist in permanent design, so to fit a different application by customers' requirement. Now another promising application we think is low-cost hyperpolarized gas MI. Original convention MI, the signal strength is proportional to magnetic strength. But now, Nottingham gave the new idea about hyperpolarized gas MI. It is the signal strength will be independent of scanning magnetic strength. So we think our system can be covered this application. It is the report that it is reported very low field imaging level. So we think we can do it. The future of hyperpolarized noble gas MI, we think we can build the low-cost MI by XGY. And Nottingham can provide the low-cost hyperpolarized technique. So China have the biggest smoking population. So we think it is very interesting, and let's work together, put it into clinic. It's very hopeful. Last part, let's set the cooperation playing in Russia of XGY. XGY have another product is X-ray paint is DR. It is dynamic flat panel. We always have the cooperation products is CT scanning. We have the 16 slice CT scan and 64 slice CT scan. Linear accelerator. We always plan to develop pronounced therapy system. In hospital level, we have the plan to invest. We are interested in invest Russia hospital. We can build the imaging center and provide the hospital with all equipment like CT, MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, and so on. Maybe share the income with the hospital and another cooperation mode. We propose to establish a high-end medical equipment manufacturer factory in Russia. We plan to full transfer technology of MRI, CT, MR HIFU, and another things to Russia to benefit Russia's people. Make MI available to more people. Let more people enjoy health is our XGY suicide. Look forward to work with Russia. Thank you.
Questions, please.
Do you have systems which can be used as a so like a scientific training machine, you know? So do you have a machine which has all parameters adjustable?
Yes, we are all configurations can be adjusted in our system. It's easy to use.
That scan, yeah, very nice presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And so you've shown those MRI scans in the case of hemorrhaging, right, where that looks like this covered metal structure. So where you insert the patient in the case where there is some clinical urgency, and it is very low field strength. I was just wondering how long do these scans take time-wise?
Taiwan. I think it is.
How quickly do you do this? How comparable it is? How competitive it is to the current diagnostic, which will be X-ray in this case?
We have many years to product MR system, so we have the current MR system for application. Just based on the Nottingham is professor the one how to use it. We think we can fit the requirement very quickly, no problem. And if you can follow, we can cover the frequency. It's no problem.
Thank you very much. It's the scope of your machine is very impressive. I have a question. Have you compared the quality of the clinical MR scanners with the major vendors, such as Philips, Siemens? Are they comparable? The quality of imaging, like homogeneity, resolution, geometric.
Yeah. Okay, it's a good question. Almost 20 years we entered the China MRI market. It all of system by GE, Siemens, Philips, especially in permanent MRI. But now GE, Philips no products permanent MRI. They don't do it. And then after 10 years development, we think our clinical basic imaging is very similar with GE Siemens. But maybe the shortcoming is that our advanced imaging is not good as them in the speed or another. But we just work hard every day. So we think
of an MRI scanner. So first of all, what are the metamaterials? Metamaterials are no more than just artificial materials which can carry unique properties that could not be found in nature. And their main application in MRI is actually indeed to boost SNR by two pathways, let's say. So first of all, if you look at what SNR is defined in MRI, it's a B1 minus field. Don't mind about minus, so it's just the RF magnetic field, which is coil sensitive to, divided by the power which it dissipates in the lossy subject. And as you could see, that power proportionally depends on the electric fields created by the coil. So what does actually this material does? It does increase B1 or magnetic field, H field, at the same time minimizing the E field by simply redistributing it over the sample, over the fish in the first paper. So by doing so, in a standard clinical scanner, here the results shown for 1.5 Tesla, the first result, you could see that SNR could be increased by 2.6 times, just by simply placing that material inside the MRI scanner that could be achieved. Then we went further. So the first design was when actually the end sample and the metamaterial was placed in a high permittivity medium, which is the most affordable one is water. However, of course, for the human studies, it's not possible because you cannot place a human into the water tank inside the MRI scanner. So in the optimized design, you could see that actually the metamaterial. Yeah, so it's placed over here, one of the arms, and you could see it actually redistributes the excitation field of the birdcage coil shown here. So that's a standard MRI examination. That's a birdcage coil surrounding the subject. That's based on the simulation. And SR values, it's so how much power is deposited into the subject by that large birdcage coil. And once that the device is placed under one of the arms, as you can see, it actually attracts all the B1 plus field in close proximity to it. Therefore, it really targets the excitation field of the birdcage coil to the target. In that sense, it was an arm. While SR values stay comparable. So what it's done, so it's not only increases the receive efficiency of the birdcage coil, it also increases its transmit efficiency, and actually it achieves 3 times higher B1 plus values when this material is present under the arm than in the case of the standard examination. What it could be useful, for example, if a patient has implants, and as our population becomes older, every year more people have implants, which very often prevent them on the going of such clinical scanner. However, if these materials could be used, they would redistribute B1 plus and also SR. In that sense, the MRI examination would become safer for such patients, this metal implants. So the technology of this meta devices proceeded further. So that's a virus embedded into the water medium. However, if you would just redistribute the high permittivity not through all the virus, but just place it on the side of it, as you can see, that actually has creates favorable conditions because it's redistributed the H field also of B1 field, and makes it more flat across the area where our object will be located. So that's one of the examples of the further technology, and we have shown here some results. So first of all, as we all know, the MRI experiment is very narrow bandwidth, so you have to be tuned to a certain frequency, which is defined by the main magnetic field strength of the scanner. And it could be really sensitive. It could vary within 1 megahertz, depending on the clinical system you are using. So this meta material would, by controlling the level of the permittivity at the sites of the virus, you could actually fine-tune its resonating frequency, so you make it operable at any MRI scanner, at any clinical scanner, no matter what exact magnetic field it creates. And here there are some examples. So that it's just an orange placed above this meta device. If we would, when the meta device is absent, this is the standard when we would transmit and receive with the birdcage coil. And as you could see, if you would like to boost resolution, we have not enough SNR anymore, and our images becomes radiologically not relevant at all. If you, of course, if you use a standard device, when we have a birdcage coil here, here with a local coil, which are standardly used, placed on the object, in the close proximity to the object, the proper quality is achieved, as what is done in the normal clinical settings. However, if you don't use that local coil, but just put a meta surface close to the object, we could actually achieve or even improve the SNR of such experiment. And that's, please remember, so that's a wireless device. It has no cables. You don't have to disconnect them. It has no looped elements. It has no sensitive electronics. So in that case, it was just some metal wires and some containers with a high permittivity material. But of course, that design was not optimized because it actually contained a lot of water, and water gives a lot of signal in MRI unwanted in case of a clinical MRI investigation. So the guys here went further, and they actually